In the last two videos, I talked about how the objective world is utterly unlike our perception of time and space, and why it makes sense that our perception hides the truth from our eyes. This leads me to one big unanswered question. What does the objective world actually look like? Well, we don't really know. But in his book, The Case Against Reality, Donald Hoffman presents his own thesis, his current idea of what the world outside of our senses looks like. And it is highly abstract and pretty trippy. What do we know so far? Donald Hoffman's fitness beats truth theorem tells us that the objective world looks nothing like the world of time and space that we perceive. But how could we possibly observe what things look like when no one looks? Let us take a step back. We usually assume that two aspects of the world exist: the material world and our conscious experiences, or simply consciousness. We are looking for a theory that explains both. How did they come about in the first place? How do they work? Why do they exist? And how are they connected? In general, scientific theories try to make as few assumptions as possible. If I want to explain the existence of two things, how can I assume only one and explain how the other follows from it? Most people think that the material world of time and space comes first. This does seem pretty obvious. We've been trying to understand that more deeply to figure out how consciousness is created from unconscious matter. So far, we failed pretty hard. But considering the FPT theorem, this isn't a surprise. It tells us that this approach is futile and was doomed from the start. We know now that the material world is created within our consciousness. The objective world can't be anything like that, so consciousness can't come from it. We're still asking, how do we resolve this conundrum? How do we explain both consciousness and the material world? And this is where Donald Hoffman turns the tables on us with one cheeky idea. We can assume pretty safely that we are some kind of beings that have conscious experiences and they're able to act upon the world based on these experiences. I experience the desire to make a YouTube video, I act on that desire and change the world accordingly. At least a little bit. This is what Donald Hoffman calls a conscious agent, an entity that is made up of conscious experiences and actions that it can use to act upon the world. Humans would be one example of conscious agents. Now, here's Hoffman's trick. He doesn't explain where conscious agents come from. He doesn't even try. Instead, his thesis assumes the existence of conscious agents as given and aims to explain how the material world is created by consciousness. In other words, he flips the entire approach around of explaining the connection between consciousness and the material world. The material world is no longer fundamental and consciousness arises from it. In his thesis, consciousness is fundamental and the material world arises from it. So, what does the world look like? It isn't made out of matter and energy. No, in reality, everything is made out of consciousness, a network of agents that have experiences and actions to influence the experiences of other agents. Donald Hoffman calls this thesis conscious realism. His goal is to explain the material world of time and space as something that emerges from consciousness. It kind of goes like this. There are still laws that govern the interactions of conscious agents within the network. One of them is evolution. Conscious agents evolve to gain fitness payoffs. The perception evolves over time to perceive fitness, instead of the whole complexity of the network of agents. In the case of human consciousness, our perception evolved to show us material objects in spacetime. In a nutshell, this is how and why consciousness creates matter. But this whole idea of conscious realism is still a work in progress. In conclusion, we arrived at the description of the world that only assumes one thing: conscious agents. The objective world is made out of nothing but consciousness. Our perception did not evolve to see that as it is, but to guide adaptive behavior within the network that ultimately comes down to influencing the experiences of conscious agents. Why is it important to know all this? What does it have to do with psychology or our personality type? I'll talk about that in my next video. Bye.